But let's take you to other news developing in Illovo. The Education Department hosting an education business breakfast there. The event convenes 100 business leaders from the private sector to discuss collaborative strategies in order to crowd in public sector resource and investment. The minister in the department, that's Siviwe Gwarube, is addressing that gathering. Let's listen in.
The first time a child will interact with a book is the time they turn 7 years old, when they go into grade 1. And then we expect them to be able to read for meaning by the time they turn 10, which is 3 years later. If you're an affluent South African, your child is likely playing, reading from the time that they're 2 years old even. They go to grade R, they go to an ECD center that allows them to read and manipulate complex things that are age appropriate. The time they get to grade 1, they're already able to read. By the time they get to grade 4, which is when they turn 10, they are certainly able to read for meaning without any problems. These two children exist, but the one has been significantly left behind. And that's the obsession that I have. How do we say that millions of South African children, because you see the number of the one child who can read for meaning is small. The larger number is the number of children who we are saying to them, you are 7, this is the first time you interact with a book, but at the age of 10 you need to be able to be reading for meaning. It's simply not fair. And so that is why now the department and I are saying it's important to fix literacy as the first step. And this is why every single priority in the 7th administration speaks to this very goal. We want to make sure that early child learning starts so that children may be able to read for meaning by the time they get to grade 4. And so this is why it has been a game changer to say we want to include ECD into the Department of Basic Education instead of it being located in the Department of Social Development. Because for too long in South Africa, we've perhaps focused on the quality, we've often obsessed over matric results as opposed to obsessing on the quality of the foundations of learning. Around the world, it's accepted that if you inject quality at the foundation phase of your learning, the outcomes at the end will take care of themselves. But we can't be obsessing about how many children are receiving a matric certificate when we are saying we have let them down by the time they get to 10 years old in grade 4. And so that reorientation is difficult for the department and it's difficult for the sector, but it absolutely needs to be done. Our education system now needs to look at 0 to 18 as opposed to saying, how do we measure, what does success look like, and just simply measuring the outcomes at the end of the schooling career. And so this is now one of the foundations of the priorities that we have. So you may be asking, what are some of the priorities that we have for the 7th administration? So the first one is obviously in making sure that equality early child learning is injected into the system, that it forms part of a strong foundation, because we believe that we will be able to fix the literacy and numeracy problem if we do it like that. The second is to improve literacy and numeracy across all phases of schooling. We must make sure that we enhance digital literacy, so we improve the participation in STEM. For a couple of years now, the DBE and STEM is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics education. For a couple of years now, there's been a concerted effort in the education sector to say that learners need to be participating in STEM, and I'm sure many of you in this room are excited about that and would be keen to support initiatives like that, because these are the very people on this conveyor belt who will go on to be part of the workforce that you need in your very businesses. Because colleagues, let's be clear, education is a means to an end. And what is the end? The end is making sure that we are developing young people who will be able to leave one day ready for the world of work. In South Africa, 7 out of 10 young people don't have work. And that number is growing at an alarming rate. And the only way we are going to fix that is, one, of course, we've got to grow the economy so you can grow the pie, but at the same time, we've got to have an education system that is producing quality people who can walk into the world of work. The third priority is around special education. We want to expand the curriculum to broaden our offering in schools to allow children with special learning needs. And this is not just a nice to have. This is absolutely critical because we cannot leave learners with special needs and special learning needs behind. It's a constitutional obligation that we have to those learners. In fact, I have gone around 7 out of the 9 provinces since my appointment, and going to special schools where kids with special learning needs are is absolutely incredible. Some of the work that they're doing with their hands. And it says to me, if we're able to say, when a child goes through that school and they're able to have a certification, what then they're able to do is they're able to go and work. What that does is that it infuses dignity. We no longer have to say simply because a child has special learning needs that they no longer have a future. Because we can fix that. We can fix that by doing small, low-hanging fruit achievements to make sure that those children are qualified, they have a certification that says you've acquired a skill. Imagine how much of a confidence booster that is for a child to be able to go and to be able to go into a world of work. And the fourth priority is teacher development. We absolutely cannot leave our teachers behind, and we run the risk if we only focus on our learners, making sure that they're fit for the digital age, for the 21st century, making sure that we are teaching our learners robotics and coding. But if we are not making sure that we're developing the teacher, we are not going to achieve what we want to achieve. Because that kind of, the kind of success you want to see in the classroom will be led by the teacher. And so the teacher needs to be equipped, the teacher needs to understand and have subject knowledge. And so that's part of the reason also why I will be convening a meeting similar to this one with deans and heads of higher education institutions to talk to them about their offering so that there is synergy. What we need in the classroom needs to be produced at university. And we need to be able to see the people who are leaving universities being able to plug into the needs of the classroom. Our teachers and our school principals are operating in increasingly difficult environments, very complex, because as I often say, schools are not immune to the communities they exist in. So if a school is in a violent area, you will find that violence finding expression in the school. They become literally the microcosm of the communities that they exist in. And so it's important to support our teachers, our educators, and particularly school principals as they lead in complex environments. And as they are leading I'm sure many of you would have seen the horrific story of the principal at a primary school in the Eastern Cape, who was shot dead because people wanted protection fees. So these are the realities that we are dealing with. Teachers are being mugged at the gates of their schools. Even when sometimes some of you have made generous donations of gadgets to schools, often learners are unable to take those home because criminals wait for them around the corner to rob them. So these are complex environments. And we have to keep consistently saying, how do we keep the teacher not only equipped, but also motivated in an environment that is complex, that's sometimes violent, and an environment that is also financially constrained. I'm sure many of you would have seen that we are in a tight financial and fiscal environment. And so the teachers we would want more teachers in the classroom to keep classroom sizes smaller. But we have to work with what we have. And the burden on educators is increasing. And that's why the fifth and the final priority is safety in schools. To be able to deliver quality education in any environment, you need learners to be safe, learners and educators alike. But this includes not only what I've been talking about crime, but it also includes the issue of proper sanitation in our country. The fact that there's still children who drown in pit toilets 30 years into our democracy is something we can never, ever, ever condone. And it's one of the things that keep me certainly up at night, to say how do we not only clear the backlog, but how do we have reliable data that we are constantly monitoring what our schools look like. It's not only just about pit toilets, it's also about asbestos roofs, it's also about appropriate structures in our schools. And so as you can see, these are big, bold priorities. But it's been important also to declutter the way in which we do our work. Understand what we currently have in the kitty, understand what we need to do as our core business, but also prioritize ruthlessly. It doesn't necessarily mean that other things are not important, but we believe if we focus on these 5 key priorities, that we will be able to essentially improve education outcomes in the system in our country. And so the reason why I'm articulating these priorities to you is because I'm inviting you to this journey along with us. The journey of saying, this is where the greatest need is. Sometimes we can have partners who say, I want to do this. I want to be your partner, but I have a specific project that I want to do. I want to say to you, I'm inviting you to journey with us and assist us where the greatest need is. We have to improve our safety in schools. We have to make sure we develop our teachers. We have to make sure that we improve literacy and numeracy in South Africa. And we have to make sure that we are investing in the foundations of learning. And if you can come along on that journey with us there, I truly believe that we can shift the needle. And as Dr. Kosa said, the important thing is to understand that we can't be, and I said to the DG and the team yesterday, we had a whole day meeting yesterday, and I said to them, we can't be an education system of interventions. Interventions are not strategies. An intervention is a short-term solution to a crisis. We have to look at the education sector as a continuum, from 0 to 18, literally from the time a child is born to the time they leave our education system into further education and training. But we can't be stitching together an education system with interventions. So what I'm saying is, I'm asking for your partnership, but I'm saying partner along with us to invest in the system and not just simply in programs, but in a system so that we can start to see real return in investment in the way in which we really improve our outcomes. And so this morning, as we discuss our collective role in shaping the future of education in South Africa, I want to emphasize that the task of delivering good quality education in our country is not the task of government alone, nor is it yours in its isolation. We lead the charge, we partner along with all of you, and it's a shared responsibility. And I do believe that we can make an impact and we can shift the needle. Because we owe it to the 13.5 million learners in our system, 500,000 teachers across 25,000 schools. We owe it to them. And as our country is going through great financial difficulties, so is our government. So I want to assure you that your partnership, 1, is valued. Number 2, that it will be utilized for the best use. And also number 3, that it will go towards ensuring that we shift the needle quickly in our education sector. I also want to thank some of our stakeholders and our partners in the room who've been doing this work and who've been walking this journey along with us, to say thank you for the work that you're doing. Thank you for partnering with us and partnering with the Department of Education to make sure that we deliver a good quality product at the end of the day. Your work has not gone unnoticed. As you saw some of the statistics that Dr. Kosa was pointing out here, there's been great initiatives by the private sector. But I'm saying to you now, we've turned a corner where we've said we've had access, now we need quality. We've had numerous priorities, but now we've streamlined. And these are the 5 things. If you are going to scratch where it itches, this is where it's itching. We are itching in making sure that we're injecting quality and we are allowing our learners to leave the education system with a good quality product in our hands. And so thank you for attending this morning. And I look forward to engaging with many of you about how we can make sure that we really work together in ensuring that we improve the education system. Because it truly is the bedrock of any thriving economy. If we don't get this right, if we fail at this fundamental function, we are never going to make sure that we have an economy that grows at least above 1%. That is not only just growing above 1%, but that has a quality workforce ready for that kind of economy. So we have shared interests here. While it's my responsibility to deliver quality education, I want to make sure that all of you are able to make sure are comforted by knowing that our learners begin learning and begin having an education at an early age. It is of quality, and when they leave the system, you are comforted by knowing that these are people who will go on to lead your industries. These are people who've been equipped from a very young age. And the only way we can also completely undo the inequality that exists in our country is if we make sure that we equalize that gap between those two children. Those two 10-year-olds I told you about earlier. They need to have the same equal shot in life. And if they don't, we would have failed. And I don't know about you, but I don't intend to fail. Thank you very much.